you.
All right, it's 10 o'clock. I will call the meeting to order. Chair notes there's a quorum present and we'll do the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, 2.0 is additions and revisions to the agenda.
I don't have anything.
Ah, look at you.
2 weeks, 2 meetings. in a row.
I know, everyone's taking note. Correspondence and public comment. Individuals wishing to address the county court may do so at this time and at other times throughout the meeting. Speakers are asked to raise your hand to be recognized by the chair, give your name and address, and then comments to 3 minutes. For folks who are dialing in on your phone, it is *6 to unmute yourself. If you're on your computer screen, it's the lower left-hand corner of the Zoom platform. And I always remind folks that we are very informal here. So as we go through the agenda, if there's anything you'd like to provide input, questions, comments on, we welcome that. For now, is there like comments? Who wants to go first?
Go ahead, Eileen.
Hi, so my name is Eileen Flory and I work with Contra Casa, and today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about Child Abuse Prevention Month proclamation that we have. The month of April has been set aside as awareness to child abuse. And so I think you have a copy of this in the packet, so I don't have to read it to you. I did bring a few statistics about child abuse in Oregon, if anyone is interested in about children that are foster care due to neglect and to abuse. So I have that also if anyone's interested. As you drive around town, you'll see some blue and silver windmills that just are to bring to mind that about child abuse awareness. So you'll see them around not only our communities, but across the state. And these will be posted around town with the principals. Anybody have any questions?
I have one short one. Do we have available foster care in Gilliam County?
We do not have any foster homes in Gilliam County this time. We had a meeting last fall to try to get some interest to having foster care here. We had 2 different couples that were going to go forward with DHS, and then I haven't heard, so I don't know if they went through or not. We do in my program is Wheeler and Gilliam County, and we do have 1 foster care placement in Fossil that has 1 child in it right now. It's something we need desperately.
That's what I understood. I just wondered if it had changed at all, because I knew it had been that way.
No, all of our kids in foster care right now are placed out of county, which really is sad because that means they're not in the same school districts, they're not in the same 4-H programs, they're not with their friends. It's really sad. So that's one thing that we're really trying to work on is get foster homes. So if you know of anybody, have them give me a call.
Will do.
Thank you.
So court, if you guys are amenable of the proclamation that Eileen was talking about, if you want, we can just add it to consent agenda. You guys
I'm okay.
would like to do that? Okay. So we will add that as 4.9. What's the time? Child abuse prevention. Child abuse. Gerald, did you have something?
I did. Hi, your hotel and county facility management coordinator. Just wanted to let the public and county court know that the road department will be tearing up the old asphalt at our park and creating 2 new lanes, for a total cost about $72,000. And the road, will be billing us $40,000 for materials in June. It'll come out of my county parks and improvement funds. Just kind of want to let everybody know that. Didn't get on the agenda, but Dr. Julie, I believe, guys already knows about the project, but I just wanted to get it out there. So everybody knows, I think they'll get it all done in June.
So whereabouts is it, Daryl?
So they're gonna be tearing up the old asphalt that the roots are coming through. So all the way from the dump station, doing that circle,
Okay,
all the way up and around the left side, and all the way on the right side, which is actually fairgrounds property, but so we're gonna have two sets that goes up to the fairgrounds, so.
good.
Talk like 40 dump trucks worth of material, so it's gonna be an interesting old gym, but it's a good time to do it because we get really busy in July, August, and September.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's all I had. There's any other
Thank you.
questions?
Catherine,
I don't.
yeah, that sounds great, Darren.
Catherine Griner, 16889 Griner Lane, Mayville, Oregon. First off, I want to wish everyone happy National Public Health Week. And in that regard, I sent a message to the board email at South Gilliam County Health on May 25th or March 25th, asking for their budget calendar and their budget committee and their terms of their budget committee. I got no response, so I sent another email on this Monday to Holly Winslow and to Chairman Cindy Hinton. I got a response from Holly that day that they do not have a budget committee, that they just have their board as a budget committee. And I want the county court to be available that due to budget law, ORS 294-14414, is the budget committee consists of the governing body of the local government and an equal number of electors appointed by the governing body. It does give you in the budget law the ability to have just your board if no one's interested. I want you to know that in my email to both emails, I requested and I volunteered to be on the budget committee. And I am hoping with public funds that you are requiring a budget committee for public health. So the public has more information on the budget. And I am suggesting that your court representative also put their hand up when they do that, because I think it's important that the court know how the money's being spent. Thank you.
Yeah, and after I had my visit with you, I went and looked at that. I think it's it's in the 294414, section 2. Is that what you found?
Yeah, I didn't pull up the whole law. I just pulled up the state of Oregon budget calendar or for budget. And by the way, they do not have to do a budget calendar is not required by law.
Okay. But yeah, it does say that if no electors are willing to serve, then they can go on with just the governing body, but I think they at least have to put that out there. And I did express that to Chairman Cindy Hinton, that I thought they should
I think it's
go forward with the budget committee. It's actually, sometimes it's kind of useful to have people that look from the outside at it and see things sometimes that the board itself doesn't see, so. I don't disagree that it's not a good idea,
But it's required if they post for it.
yeah.
Mhm.
And we could certainly post that on our county thing too, that they're looking for it.
we should also we can put it on ours, and also there is a condom community board that is on Instagram, Facebook, that it can be pushed out pretty fast.
And yes, I would volunteer to be on that budget board.
Get your letter ready.
Okay. Gonna write it for me?
So in your communication with Cindy, does it sound like they're going to advertise for it, or do we need to follow up with them?
I think we-
I clear that.
We need to
That's our
probably follow
expectation.
up with it and say that we highly recommend.
Well, it's the law.
I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
it's required.
Yeah, the underlying agreement with them does say that the district needs to remain in compliance with all state laws and regulations, and so budget law would be one of those things that they are required to be in compliance with. Okay, so
So
Delaney and Leah and
my question
Miranda
is
will
too,
coordinate.
and I
Okay.
wasn't totally sure about this, so like, if you have a budget committee, if you have 5 on your board and you only get 2 people to show up and so is it the majority of those 7 people that how it rules?
Yeah.
Okay. So then you would have to have at least 4 people agree to pass the budget.
Yes.
Okay.
And I do know that. So the way the budget works too, and you guys probably know this because the county court goes through this, you have your budget committee. The board has a right to change the budget when they get to the budget hearing.
Mhm.
I mean, it's rarely done that I have ever seen, but I have seen it.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't make any sense to have a budget committee that's just your board and then you go to the budget hearing. I mean, you have to have the public have ability to see the document and to know what's going on.
Well, and I know like with the school district, it's like sometimes the budget committee passes something that violates policy of the school district, so you have to change it when it.
And the school board has had issues with getting budget committee members, and I think it's been just basically the school board sometimes, but they do advertise annually to get budget. What was the ORS on that again? It's ORS 294.414.
So, yeah, asking the question, does the North Gilliam Health District have that?
I
April?
think that, our meeting the other day, they were just gonna do it with their board.
Do it with our, two of us get together, help with the
To put the-
admin,
the-
put
put
the
the-
budget together. And then it goes to the board. But yeah, I mean, I did not know that it said that. So I should look at that.
This is helpful.
This is very helpful. Cause we might be like hurrying up and getting something else.
Anything else?
Yeah, and I think they have to be in your district, so.
Your budget officer does not have to be in your district, but your budget committee does have to be in your jurisdiction.
So I can't volunteer for
To
that
do
one,
yours.
but that is.
Yeah.
Any other public comments at this point? Go ahead, Joe.
So I'm Joe Patno from Michael. I'm here to represent Judge Patno because she has court on Wednesdays and can't come to county court meetings. And this is in lieu of her vacation time compensation. So she, at the last meeting, you, I believe, read her proposal, but we've yet to receive your proposal. And we would like to receive it.
Yeah, so there's been back and forth between her and our attorneys. And
She
so,
wants to have a meeting. But we would like the proposal, since you have our proposal. We don't want to walk into a meeting unprepared,
correct,
because nobody would.
right. So our attorney will follow up with her probably in the next couple of days.
Okay. All right. Because at the last meeting, we were told that all you were doing was sign some paperwork and you're done. So we're not.
The motion was to allow our legal counsel to finalize and with me execute an agreement.
I should probably recuse myself since.
It said, I believe it said negotiate, where's the minutes?
Because at the end, I said, just to clarify,
Hang on.
I said,
Oh,
and you said, all we gotta do is sign paperwork and we're done. I said, oh, okay, thank you. So just clarifying again.
so Chris has had no contact with the attorney?
Oh, yeah,
Or has
she
she?
wants to have a meeting,
Okay,
no proposal, thing. She's asked 3 times for the proposal. So. That's what I have. Thank
Okay,
you.
anything else for public comment? Okay, if not, we will go into a correspondence. There's a couple things in here. First up is the fiscal year 2022-2023 operational grant program final report from the Gilliam County Historical Society. These will start rolling in as we near closer to the end of the fiscal year. So folks are interested in seeing how recipients of the competitive grant spent their funds. This is the accountability or transparency that comes with that. Those are always available on the court's website as part of the packet. The next thing was a nice little thank you note from Kaylin Lane with the Oregon Frontier Chamber Board. I'll just read it. This one is short and it was nice to receive. Dear Gilliam County Court and staff, it is with sincere appreciation we write this note of thanks to you for your partnership and support of the chamber, the small businesses and the communities in Gilliam County. We value the trusted relationships with each of you. Thank you isn't enough. So we will work hard to continue to make you proud. Kaylin Lane and Oregon Frontier Chamber Board. And then some sad news. There is a letter in here from Paul Conway, who is the Veterans Service Officer, currently letting us know that he is planning to retire effective May 31st. And he has been outstanding in the years that he's been serving the 3 counties. Really tremendous work. So he is going to be big shoes to fill. Sherman County, technically the Veteran Service Officer is a Sherman County employee. We just pay our veterans money over to them. So Sherman County is handling the recruitment and they posted basically the day that we received this. So I have not heard where their timeline is for recruitment, but the hope is that we can get somebody in prior to Paul's last day so that there can be a little bit of a transition period for the new person. So if you see Paul, please thank him for his wonderful service to our veterans in the Tri-County area. Next up is a notice that we received from Bureau of Land Management. This is regarding a pretty significant land acquisition that they are soliciting public comment on. They have been, as you guys are aware, buying up property along the John Day. So this is their next potential acquisition. For folks who are interested in commenting, let me see if it says what the deadline is.
Today.
The deadline is today. So
Sheriff usually comments on this.
I did forward it to, I believe I forwarded it to Gary when we got it. So I don't know if he has weighed in with them or not. But for anybody else who is interested, it will also be on the website if you're interested in commenting. It is primarily on the Sherman County side. So I don't know if the sheriff will have anything to say since it's not technically in our jurisdiction. And then finally, an email from Diana, is it Wonderland? Is that right? Notifying us that she is resigning from the Cultural Trust Coalition.
Hard to tell by this email that it was from the cultural. Guess.
Yes. So once again, Miranda is searching for cultural trust members from the Arlington area. So if you live in Arlington and you're listening and you want to get involved with a pretty cool little group that is making neat investments in cultural and arts kind of projects in the communities and doing some cool stuff, then it's not a heavy lift. It's a feel-good thing, not a lot of controversy. Please consider raising your hand and volunteering. Okay, that's all I have for correspondence and public comments. So let's move into the consent agenda. Questions about it?
On 4.4, I just need some clarification so I understand what I'm approving in the consent agenda. So when OHA does this, they're eliminating 62P62 and replacing it with 6202. Is that
Yeah.
the way they
So yeah, what they do is they come through and they basically say that they're replacing the previous position description with this new one.
Okay.
So it's still 62, it's just 62, the second version of it.
That's the second amendment to 62. So when you.
Or well, no, I mean, there's still 62, it replaces that, and then they're adding the funding for 62-2. So
The
basically,
fentanyl stuff.
the fentanyl stuff,
Added.
so it's
So
still,
the funding is still there for 62.
yes,
Then they add the $5,009.
yes.
For the fentanyl piece of it.
It was a little confusing when I went through the packet.
And literally, as soon as we approve this, there will be a new one in our inbox when we get downstairs,
Well,
like
I know we
OHA.
I know we had talked about this will be an ongoing process and will continue to happen, but I just want to make sure I know what approving when I approve something.
I'm actually amazed by the number of amendments, though, that come, you would think they might group them, decide they're all gonna do them at once, but no. It's a drip amendment process with them.
Yeah, and the way they're working that stuff right now is they'll award and send money to the county. And Holly is not requesting it until they need it on their end instead of it just passing through us to them.
Well, there's
So
also
we have
something-
money sitting here in the county that is unexpended that will, and you'll see in these
Right.
too, that they'll get returned.
Yeah, the way I read that is if it's not used, you will lose that funding.
Yeah,
That's true.
To use it or lose it.
Yeah.
Every year.
All of
You have to use 75% of it. I think between now and the end of the fiscal year. which is
it
not
looks
very
like
far away.
some of them, they will, most of it, they will,
carry over
take
some,
back.
most of them.
Mhm.
so. Makes more sense for it to just stay here and then they take it back from us than,
I'm just saying that then if it isn't used, then you lose that. The next, way I read
Yeah.
that, in the next budget season, or next. Anyway,
I just wonder how they figure out how to award it to the different, I don't know how many public health districts we have in Oregon, but it was like 26 million or $28 million that they got from the federal government for this fentanyl, and we got $5,000.
Mhm.
well, we don't have that now.
So it's like, yeah, but I think we should have those Narcan things in every parent's hands,
You know.
so.
We've been handing them out. Insurance companies have been handing out.
Yeah. Yeah, cause they don't hurt anybody. They might give you a headache. If you took one, but it's not gonna hurt you,
So
but it will save your life if,
You need it.
yeah.
then we have one addition to the consent agenda.
Correct. So it would be the consent agenda as amended, if there's a motion.
Cause we just added that other.
The information.
I move to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Second,
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda as amended. The consent agenda consists of consider approval of March 15th regular meeting or 2023 regular meeting minutes, consider approval of March 15th, 2023 executive sessions minutes, consider approval of April bills pending review, consider approval of amendment number 5 to IGA number 169508 with Oregon Health Authority for financing of public health services, consider approval of Conica digital copier printer maintenance agreement with Bohn's Printing, consider approval of grant submittal request for child abuse multidisciplinary team or CAMI grant, consider appointment of Jean Wilson to Gilliam County Library Board effective April 5th, 2023 through June 30th, 2027. Consider approval of revised operation support grant program guidelines and consider approval of proclamation of Child Abuse Prevention Month. Is there further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
I,
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, so down to unfinished.
Can I say one thing?
Go ahead.
And I should have added it, when Elaine was here. I'm doing a mandatory reporter training. We're holding a mandatory reporter training April 26th at 1 o'clock in Arlington at the Gronquist Building. I've sent out, information and flyers to, both health districts, the schools, everyone that pretty much is involved with children.
Mhm.
But I guess I want to say in an open meeting, if there is anyone that is interested, just get a hold of me.
What kind of
And
training?
then,
April?
Mandatory reporter training.
Oh,
you say the 26th,
Mhm.
April, could
At 1
you
o'clock.
send an email to all of the elected officials?
Sure.
Because they all became mandatory reporters by
Oh.
state law.
Okay.
well,
So they all need to be aware of that requirement. And some of them have asked previously about training. So that would, I think if they knew that it's happening, there may be some more elected officials
Okay.
in the building.
I will do that.
I took it a couple of years ago, but there's some new, obviously new court members. And then
Do you know how often they need to be trained?
I do not know, but I know that they have not been trained.
Okay.
And that when the law went into effect, several of them had asked me about, could we get
I
training?
think when the law, in fact, there wasn't any training requirement was there, but it's maybe a good idea.
Yeah, because I know the EMTs, we did it, but we've never, the ones that have done it, never have done it again, so,
You're just liable if you don't
Yeah.
understand it, you mess it up.
yeah.
And so I
think we
sent
could-
that to Holly
Okay,
to send out. Or to provide it.
can we post that on our website too, as an
Absolutely.
announcement?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you send it to Miranda too, we'll get it
Okay.
posted.
April,
Is it all elected
No.
officials?
We
Like
actually
city councilors,
have.
or-
I am not
I haven't
sure.
heard that.
You might want to check the statute.
I'm
I
sorry.
think it was Ellen that had flagged it for me that it was gonna be all elected officials, and maybe she heard it through like the Clerks Association or something. I already am one, so I didn't think twice about it, but there's several people in the building who normally wouldn't have been one, the treasurer and the assessor and all kinds of people. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
so it's probably, we can try to track down that.
You know, I'll
statute.
just text legally to,
Yeah,
okay, thanks.
Yeah, okay. SDAO said in our, by a meeting on the 3rd, that, our health districts need to.
Probably the board too.
Mhm.
Okay.
so everybody, you're gonna have a full,
Yeah,
what room did you reserve? April?
well, I think I'll go with the upstairs now. Thinking about it.
I'm glad you mentioned it though,
Yes,
because I
yeah.
think a lot of people might benefit from it, so. Anything else? You guys ready to move forward? Okay, let's do 5.1, which is second reading and adoption of ordinance number 2023-01. Fiscal year 2023-2024 Gilliam County Weed Control Special Assessment. As you guys know, we conducted the public hearing on this ordinance on March 1st and March 15th. And we proceeded with the first reading on March 15th. So basically what we need is a second reading, and then we can adopt the ordinance.
I move to have the second reading of ordinance number 2023-01 by title only.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded that we have the second reading of ordinance number 2023-01 by title only. Is there further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. In the County Court of the State of Oregon in and for the County of Gilliam, ordinance number 2023-01 in the matter of a special weed assessment within Gilliam County for fiscal year 2023-2024.
I move to accept the second reading of ordinance number 2023-01 by title only and adopt the ordinance.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded that we accept the second reading of ordinance number 2023-01 by title only and adopt the ordinance. Is there further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. 5.2 is consider award of bid for natural hazards mitigation plan in HMP update for fiscal year 2023-2024. Delaney, do you?
I can talk on it.
Want to do this, or do you want to see?
I'm gonna see if Chris can come up and I can kind of get it started.
Okay.
Give me 1 second. So this was awarded through the OEM. We were awarded a grant through OEM for $25,000 with the 90-10 match to update the natural hazards mitigation plan. Chris reached out to several different people and we got 2 bids back, one from Oregon DLCD and then Fair Winds Consulting. Her recommendation is that we go with Fair Winds Consulting as she's had a positive experience with them and they're a local business and they know our area well. As you can see, there's also the one from DLCD is quite expensive.
Yes.
So,
Wow, I mean, it's like,
yeah,
can Fairwinds do this?
yeah. I think Chris is pretty confident in her based off of what she's worked with her on. So,
She did that fire.
yeah, she's working with the fire district.
She does really, she does.
Some really good work.
Strategic plan with the board and
Yeah.
very detailed.
For the record, so if people are wondering and don't want to go look at the packet, the Fair Winds bid was what? 25,000, and the one we received from DLCD was 121,000.
Yes.
Almost
So-
122.
So pretty significant difference between the two.
And our dollars would go out of the county and not.
Yeah. Would Chris step
So we-
back, or should we just do a motion?
So
you
do
have
we
questions?
need, then do we need to decide the payment?
No, we
The
can just
potential,
go
that'll
forward
be-
with it.
Okay.
That, she just included that in her plan, but
Okay.
we just need to authorize the amount. And then we
Okay.
So I move to accept the bid from Fairwinds Consulting LLC in the amount of 25,000 to update the natural hazards mitigation plan.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded that we accept the bid from Fairwinds Consulting LLC in the amount of $25,000 to update the natural hazards mitigation plan. Is there further discussion? All those in favor?
We have to come up with 2,500 of that, right?
Yes.
Correct. And I think Krista already has that in her
Budget.
budget.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next one is consider approval of commitment of ARPA funds for early learning access initiatives. Okay. So, during our last meeting, we reviewed a proposal from X4, which were the folks who facilitated the rocket process with our group. And talked with them about doing a rocket 2.0, which would basically result in an early education access roadmap for us. And then also some ongoing project management capacity support to like keep all of the partners on track, basically, to actually get this thing implemented. So we talked about it last time. The consensus was that we wanted to move forward, but we didn't have an agreement in place. And so one of the requests today is to actually approve that agreement, which is in your packet. The other thing is way back when, in July, we approved for Pillar Consulting Group to do some sort of initial phase 1 pre-construction work for Conan Early Learning Center for the expansion project that they're working on. That phase has been completed, so the topographical survey and the initial schematic designs. But they would like to move into the pre-construction, the next step, which is detailed designs and construction documents and kind of the nitty-gritty details to go through the city's planning process as well. So you have a proposal in there from Jeff. I believe it was 72,000 for the next phase. Normally, I will say, normally we would ask this request to come in through a capital investment, project grant. But what I'm asking is that we may, because we still have not committed all of our ARPA dollars, that we consider committing our ARPA dollars. And I honestly think that if the Early Learning Center has this plan in place, even though they may come and ask for some placeholder money for us, I feel relatively confident that most, if not all, of the project itself, when they go to construct, will be funded by outside philanthropies in the legislature. So my hope is that this would be give them the boost they need to go out and compete for funds. There is approximately 364,500 of ARPA funds remaining. They need to be committed by December 21st, 2024. So we have about a year and 9 months. And then the other proposal, which is not, I don't necessarily need a motion on, is that the rest of those ARPA funds remain available once the Rocket 2.0 process concludes, to sort of provide some seed money if there's some good ideas that come out for like workforce development initiatives or other things that we may look at using that money to leverage and start moving forward on some of the priorities that the Rocket Group identifies.
So what would be the reason we would want to commit those other funds if we didn't know whether we needed them or not? The balance.
I mean, my only thing is when we're going through the Rocket process, it would be helpful to know if there are pots of money that are available. So because the Rocket team is going to be doing, okay, here's the roadmap kind of thing. And if we know up front, hey, there's $200,000 that can be used, I think I would still my intention would be to bring back the roadmap first.
I just would just have a concern if something else came along, might be a priority. We always have discretionary funds that you could do that with too.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and then we've actually committed the ARPA funds when we find something, maybe better do that and use discretionary funds for.
For the other, okay, that's fine. Would like, if we can, to move forward at least on the Rocket 2.0 and on the sort of next phase for the early learning center expansion.
So refresh my memory why we don't have to go out for bid for $72,000 bid.
So because we have gone through the process of selecting Pillar Consulting as our engineer in our procurement rules, we are able to do that in an informal process because of the amount of the dollars.
Is there a ceiling on that?
I think it's 150,000.
Okay. Just asking.
I know. Any other
It's
questions?
county tax dollars. I want to make sure we're,
Well, and I
you
think,
know,
I'll just say one thing, I think that as far as like the fairgrounds project, I think he's been trying to
save money.
use, get one entity to come in and look at the fairgrounds and then the daycare.
No, I know-
So he saved us some money in that regard, so,
I know that.
Yeah, that's something up next.
so he's, yeah, and I think they're in the community, so.
Okay, so what I would be looking for, if we're on board, is a motion to approve the Rocket project management agreement. And then if the court is on board, the scope change request from Pillar Consulting.
I move to approve the Rocket project management agreement with X4 as presented.
Second,
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the Rocket project management agreement with X4 as presented. Is there further discussion?
yeah, now that, it looked to me like that portion was 33,000 or something, is that correct?
It's
Total.
the initial amount for developing the project and getting folks all on board, doing the facilitation with the group. I think we landed at just over 30,000.
It's $30,252 for the first phase of it. And then for the 9 months following that, it's $3,750 per month.
But we can kind of decide, and we've told them like, we can drop that at any time. So if we feel like the partners are gelling and they're not needing a lot of check-ins and all those kinds of stuff, and Delaney and I feel like we can manage it, then we can drop it at any point and say, okay, we feel like we've accomplished what we need. Thanks for your help, and we're gonna take it from
So
here.
we're not married into the 9 months.
Correct, yeah, we can always at any point say, okay, we think we've got where we need to go.
Okay. All in favor?
And then for the second one,
Did we vote?
We got to vote on the first one, though.
oh, did we?
No.
Did we not do it? Okay,
I think they're two separate motions. Right?
Pat did the discussion.
I did a discussion after the second.
got it. So all those in favor then?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, I got confused too. I was like, I thought we voted, but maybe not. We talked, okay.
We get to have two shots of discussion.
Yes, you did. I lost track while we were talking.
So I move to approve the scope change request from Pillar Consulting Group in the amount of 72,000 for the detailed design and construction documents for the Conan Early Learning Center expansion project.
Discussion. That would mean that at that point, we would be ready to move on getting bids for construction once we got through that process.
Correct. Yeah, assuming that everything goes smoothly through the city planning process, then that would be basically the two things left would be putting it out for bid and raising the money, basically.
Okay.
And I think they're still thinking, the other thing that will happen is, so right now, Jeff is working underneath the county. At some point, after this is concluded, this phase, he's gonna switch and be working directly with the Early Learning Center.
So we're going to fund the early learning center for this, and then they will.
Yeah, for the initial phases, and then they'll take it from there and raise the money and do the actual construction piece.
We don't have to raise the money.
No, although I am putting on my parent volunteer hat and writing a lot of grant applications for them, so.
Turn that around. Mom.
I think we're ready for a vote.
So there was a second or a motion, did you second? Second, okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the scope change request from Pillar Consulting Group in the amount of $72,000 for detailed design and construction documents for the Conan Early Learning Center expansion project. Is there further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? Motion carries. Awesome, I'm excited we're moving that forward. Okay. Next up is 5.4, which is consider award of bid for geotechnical investigation for Conan Early Learning Center expansion and Gilliam County Fair Office and Event Center. So again, Jeff's working with the Fair Board and also on the Early Learning Center stuff, sent out a request for proposals for geotechnical investigation services for both the expansion and the Fairgrounds Office and Event Center projects. RFP was sent out on February 16th, combined the projects to reduce costs. 2 bids came back by the March 10th deadline from Foundation Engineering and from Earth Engineers. Jeff is recommending that we accept the bid from Earth Engineers. It also happens to be the lowest one. One thing to note, that hopefully I'm not raining on Leah's parade, but Shania heard back this week that she received the grant for the bus barn project.
I thought that was going to go based on what DOT was making a second. We were second in the 5 requests.
The one thing I want to do possibly
She
is,
gets a 2-plane,
I think it was a
because she sent it to me on my phone, but it was really small.
Shania, what was it a 1.6 as far as the state's contribution and the rest would be county?
The full ask, is what she called it.
Yes, is what she said, the full ask. So it would have been 1.6 something million.
Sherman County must have got theirs and we got ours. I wonder if anybody else did.
Yeah, it was really neat. All of this to say, I would like to go, I think I would like us to approve if we can the bid. But I'm wondering about keeping the amount open, because I wonder about going back if they need to do anything on the bus barn site, which will be right across the street. Might as well not do a whole separate RFP and see if we can do that as a change order. Given the amounts, I'm guessing
So we did the whole lump sum for 10,000.
for
The
10,000.
breakdown of that is for the 2 fairgrounds buildings, it's 5,825. And then the Conan Early Learning Center is 5,075, and that's for the Earth Engineers.
Footprint, it might be a little more, but.
Yeah, but I'm guessing with that amount that our procurement attorney will say,
yeah,
you're dealing with such small amounts that it's
probably
okay.
For the whole thing.
So what I would suggest if we can, we already know that the bid amount right now is for 10,950. So if there is a motion, could I suggest that we just leave that amount out?
Maybe cap it at 20,
Yeah, that would be fine.
then we would at least be voting on where we need the cap, wouldn't have to come back
Okay,
approval for more.
yeah, that would be fine too. And then I will go back to Jeff and ask if he can circle back with them and just see, well, I don't even know if they will need it. Honestly, I don't know if that's needed on that site. We just learned about it like 2 days ago. But I just don't, if we're already gonna do this, it would be nice to just, if they're gonna have a contractor out
Gonna be here anyway.
doing all of them. So,
Yeah. I move to approve the bid from Earth Engineers, Inc. in an amount not to exceed $20,000 for the geotechnical investigation services for the Condon Early Learning Center expansion, the Gilliam County Fair Office and Event Center project, and the transportation building across from the fairgrounds.
Got it. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Do you have to say as amended or?
Nope,
or
you're
just-
good.
Okay.
So it's been moved and seconded that we approve the bid from Earth Engineers Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $20,000 for geotechnical investigation services for the Condon Early Learning Center expansion, Gilliam County Fair Office and Event Center, and transportation building projects. Is there further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? Motion carries. Fantastic. Okay, I'll get in touch with Jeff about that. Board, hold on, there's one more chat in here. Okay. Oh, 1.65. 1.675 million. Is what was received.
That's what we received. What was the cost of the project?
I think we were thinking around 2.
And because we had to have I believe the match is
25%.
I think it's 20 or something, 10, I think.
Shania, can you remind us what the
20%,
last amount was?
yeah.
20%. So we have to come up with 20%. But just a huge shout out to Shania. This was kind of a Hail Mary thing and kind of really awesome that she landed this
It was when I was.
in her first major grant request. So
And it came up on the John Deere Act Committee meeting, and it was really neat to see how positive they took it to. As far as the Gilliam County requests, got a lot of support there too.
So awesome job, Shania. We are very proud of you guys. She said, thank you guys. Yay, good job, transportation. Okay, let's move on, if we can, to new business, discussion and possible action regarding donation to Vietnam War Memorial Fund. So we received an email from the Vietnam War Memorial Project. And they are currently soliciting donations in support of the memorial, which is going to be located on the Capitol grounds in Salem, near the World War II Memorial. Contributions will be memorialized on a plaque honoring Association of Oregon Counties and its members for supporting the project. Several of our neighboring counties have already contributed: Sherman, Jefferson, Wasco, Umatilla, a lot of them. You'll see a list. It looks like they range from Harney County was the lowest at 500 to up to Deschutes County, which was 10,000. A lot of our neighbors are in the about $1,000 range. So
I thought, reasonable to do what Jefferson and Sherman County has done. For sure, we need to do something.
got it. Okay. So all we would need then is just a motion to contribute whatever you guys think is appropriate. You want to do
I
1,000?
was good with 1,000 too, like they had, so. I
I
looked
move
at
to
it.
contribute $1,000 to the Vietnam War Memorial Fund.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded that we contribute $1,000 to the Vietnam War Memorial Fund. Is there further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we'll get that taken care of. And then last but not least on the agenda is consider approval of mobile radio purchase for Gilliam County Emergency Services. Delaney, do you want to do this?
So Chris came in that they are needing to purchase some additional mobile radios for the sheriff's office and their emergency management. Through another grant, they were able to purchase a UTV for the sheriff's office. So this radio equipment would be used to equip that, as well as the new sheriff's vehicle that they are acquiring. So there's a need for radios. The only quote came in from Motorola because they are a state-approved procurement agency. And the total is for $28,566.88. And the funds will come from the revolving law enforcement line item that has plenty of funding.
And the economic enhancement. I think there's,
400 there.
yeah, 300 maybe.
Yeah.
There's quite a bit.
300, yeah, there's 300,000 going there. So, just kind of question. So we're adding 3 more cars and not getting rid
No,
of them?
so these are radios for the cars. So they purchased a vehicle from, it's either Deschutes or Jefferson County. They got a new car, so these radios would go into that car.
There, wasn't there some complaints about the radio system period, or is this, is this an upgrade or?
I think
addition?
these are the one that they are not having the issues with for these models, if I remember correctly.
So I wondered, like, when I was looking at the bill, the enhanced VHF, do they have a thing that will make them so like, the four-wheelers, if they go down into the canyons, they can reach out better? You know?
I do
Does
not
Chris
know
that?
the specifics of the quote. I texted Chris, but I haven't heard back, so I can't answer.
Because that's $7,000 of the bill.
Because those are, yeah, the VHF radios.
Yeah. And then the other ones that got it enhanced too, so.
Which is probably kind of important in Gilliam County.
It is because you get out on some of them fires, or when they were searching for that, the woman that was lost and stuff like that, you don't have the radio. They were having to stage people out into spots so they could talk to people on their channels down that were down in the canyons and stuff, so. But I don't have a problem with this. I move to approve the purchase of the 5 mobile radios from Motorola in the amount of $28,566.88.
Second,
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the purchase of 5 mobile radios from Motorola in the amount of $28,566.88. So further discussion? All those in favor?
aye,
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we're going to announcements and next meeting. So next meeting will be April 19th. That one will be in Arlington at the Broncos Building. Also wanted to note that our budget process is starting up. The first budget committee meeting will be on the 18th, which is the Tuesday before our next county court meeting. That will be held, I believe, at 8 o'clock and here in the courtroom. So for folks who are interested, we will also have Zoom connectivity on that. So if you want to just turn it on into the background, unless you're really into budget, then come see us in person. That's fine too. And I think.
Remind me who we have on the budget committee.
It is Sherry Wilkins, Brad Anderson, and Wally Powell.
Okay.
Okay, Pat, what do you got going on?
oh, a little crazy. We had a road committee meeting, it's the last meeting, and the road committee is the intent that we need to pave all the roads in Gilliam County and quit worrying about bringing industry in. I explained to them that it's hard to pave roads in Gilliam County if we don't bring industry in to help pay for that through CIPS
Yeah.
agreements and whatnot. So I think we got a little bit of an understanding about the importance of supporting industry and the tax revenue that we can get through the bringing those type of companies in. But yeah, Norcore board meeting, I went to the McKed meeting and which I forgot to tell you, but I went to the McKed meeting in White Salmon and they approved the resolution, and so it now needs to move to written approval by both governors and then whatever it takes to get through
EDA.
EDA. So, I mean, I think since it's been approved by both economic development districts, it's probably just going through the motions at this point. I don't know that a new governor would make a difference or not in Oregon, but I did wonder a little with the district set up for Nate Stice and where's the court name? If that needs to be realigned at that point, so it lines up with McKed rather than, because we actually are not under Nate's district.
Correct. Yeah. So once that becomes, I think the regional solutions statute or the way that they've set it up is to align with the economic development districts. And so once it goes through, I think we just need to call Amelia, the new director. Nate will obviously has it on his radar too, but I think then we would just, hey, we approved all your things, Chris.
Well, sorry, I just saw my phone, it says, can you come up to court? And I'm like, oh, that was 25 minutes ago, sorry.
You're good.
Oh, good. You can tell I'm busy, I'm not looking at my phone.
We approved both of your things. So yeah, I think once we know for sure that we've gotten the go ahead, then we just need to reach out to Amelia and ask for that formally to be changed. But I think you were there at the last AOC stuff that we were at, but I did put in a plug when she was there talking to us about wanting Nate to continue to be able to serve Gilliam County in the interim.
Right, right.
And they're clearly doing that because the regional solutions team is going to be in town next week and
The meeting with Waste Management, so I'm kind of confused on how all that. That they reached out to Waste Management to set up a meeting and then now they're having a training, it sounds like, in
yeah,
4-hour training in our office.
yeah. So they reached out to me originally and said, hey, the team is gonna be wanting to meet in Gilliam County. Who should we talk to? Do you have a contact at Waste Management? And I can't remember what I was doing, but I must have been at AOC. In the meantime, Nate found Leah himself. And so by the time I circled back with him, I'm like, did you get your Waste Management contact? And he said, yes, so he found Leah. And then originally I thought they were gonna do some tours of things, but it turns out they decided they just wanted to do a team meeting and asked if there was a space that they could use near 84. And I was like, well, the court has an office up there. So we offered it to them. So yes, they will be in town next Tuesday. In
And
Arlington.
then, Merkley's office and Wyden's office and Ben's office are supposed to have representatives at Waste Management to do a tour and a meeting over the gas collection and stuff on the 19th, so that's coming up too.
Oh, great.
I talked to Kathleen on Monday and she was the last piece to try to get pulled into it, but cope with the methane issue, so. We've been on the Eastern Oregon caucus calls that going through the bills, and there's a couple of bills that I've been tracking pretty close and commenting on a lot, and they both died last night, I believe, so.
Oh, great.
Data center bill, which had me concerned, and then the Newsom bill that had the pilot deal, and they dropped the pilot deal and still tried to push it through, but the bill still won't make it, so. Went to a local government AOC meeting, and then Eastern Oregon County Association meeting was Monday. Monday afternoon, Wyden was in Arlington, met at the school with the kids and a few adults, a few of them showed up. And then Miranda and I were on a kind of an exciting meeting yesterday with Oregon DOT regarding EV charging, and there we were excited about a library project. I think it fits a couple of grant opportunities to achieve.
Yay.
When you don't need a bank loan?
And
You don't need
we
a bank
need a
loan?
bank loan. And they even gave us some costs, which we really hadn't had before. It looks like they figure those projects at about $800,000, but 600,000 of that is really for a right away place to put it, which we're not gonna have a lot of cost on. So it's about $200,000 to put in a 4-unit EV charging station, it looks like. So is that what you got out of it?
Yeah.
So, and they were
So then my
excited.
question is, do people put credit cards in those things and that's how they pay for that?
An app on your phone.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, most of them are, because I bought someone that had an electric car and also got Wabby's got it. Well, there's several in that. I was asking this guy, but yeah, they're all apps and they're through different, and they just charge it to your phone.
So I did talk to,
So is it by the hour or by the,
Kilowatt.
oh, kilowatt, okay.
and I did talk to that DOT rep yesterday about, because they're with the other DOT planning, what do you call that? How's he call that? NEPTA?
Oh, yeah, gosh, I haven't wrote down.
But it is the guidance for the EV stations every 50 miles on Oregon's corridors, main corridors. And I questioned because 84 didn't get selected in the first year, will be in the second phase in the second year. And once they put one in Biggs, it kind of takes Arlington out of that 50-mile shot. If they put one in the Dalles and one in Hermiston, Arlington would be right in there. So at some point, it sounds like there's gonna be other funding comes down the road. And my question is, how do you expect an EV charging station every 50 miles on 84 to replace intersections with truck stops that have 4 or 5 different truck stops on one intersection?
And then you have
Keep the
people
world,
on 97 that might stop in Madras, but then they got a long ways to go before you get to Biggs and.
well, they would put one in Grass Valley or somewhere.
Okay.
There would be Madras somewhere, Ken or Grass Valley somewhere, and then Biggs. The problem that it was like, so you put one in Madras, so you skip Redmond, big population, to put one in Bend to get your 50 miles. And how do you skip a community that size? But there's supposedly gonna be some funding that will come through the package down the road that will address these kind of requests. You know, when you got rural places like Conica, they're not any type of a corridor at all that's ever gonna be looked for them. And then, you know, eventually you would think that each community's gotta have one at some point. If you ever get there with that type of,
Yeah, because my question always is it's going down and up and down hills and canyons, does that burn,
there's a
take more for your electric car?
talked to
to
a
get
citizen
there
in
than-
Condon the other day who has one of the only ones that Condon. I said, how far can you make it? He said, well, when it's 72 degrees and blah, 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 I can drive 266 miles. So, calculate it all in before you leave.
And then how long does it take you when you're sitting at the charger? I mean,
Depends on if it's.
I see
Well,
lots of these big books.
These are all required to be DC chargers, which are, I'm gonna say a 20-30 minute charger. They're the fast charge. And they're required to put these in under any of the Oregon DOT funding projects. There's no level 2 or level 1. So, and that's it.
I'm glad that you are interested in that too.
So
Jump right
for
on.
follow-ups on that, I did have a discussion with Jeff. So I think the last conversation we had, we wanted to see more EV parking. One of the things he suggested we consider, and I need to have a discussion with the city about it, is doing some of those EV charging on street rather than off street, so that you preserve enough space to actually have your green space for the outdoor
It might hurt this funding
to do that.
because they really like the green space idea. It makes the project really attractive
Got it.
for somebody to sit for a little bit. So it might, wouldn't you say, that was one thing they really liked about this project?
Okay,
And those sites do 4 chargers.
got it, okay.
Do they have 4 chargers together, or could you have 2 at the park and 2 at the library?
To meet the, I think it's called a NEVI,
Nebby
yeah, to meet the NEVI requirement, it has to be 4
in one spot.
in one.
In one spot. So what I can do is Jeff has a lot on his plate at the moment, with all the projects we're giving him, but I will go back. Cause I'm assuming in order to be competitive for that, we're gonna need some drawings and cost estimates.
They requested the conceptual designs of the 4 that we got.
Okay,
So did you send that? She sent that, which 2 of those don't have the EV charging, but I explained to him, regardless of what concept we pick, there will be 4 units in each one of them, one way or the other.
got it, okay,
And so that was what he was gonna take to start with, and she may need some help, but she's
Yeah.
gonna do the grants,
okay,
and she does have their support to help through the grant process.
got it, awesome. Fabulous.
Yeah, there's 2, and they're both due within a day of each other.
30th and the 31st of May.
Got it, okay. In the meantime, we had at the time tabled Jeff's proposal. Do you want me to have him kind of revamp it,
Well, I think.
and do the initial drawings, or do you want to do the grant first and hear back?
I just skimmed through it, and it's a lot of like, I think we're gonna need numbers.
Okay,
Yeah, I would think we would need that to really finalize the grant.
okay, okay, we'll
Grants.
follow up with him.
Yeah, I haven't checked on the second one yet, but the first one I was looking at, I seen a chart. It wants you to list out like funding costs and all of that, so.
Cool. I'm excited that they're excited.
There is a 27. 5.57% match on that one.
10.
Oh, 10.57%.
Oh. And honestly, with some of the green space stuff, there may be some library related grants that we can chase on the green side to help close the gap on that side. So. Anything else on that? This is exciting. Okay, nice. Okay, Leah, what do you got for us?
Okay, so I feel like I've really been slacking.
No, you haven't. You've got big, you've also got big,
I have the biggest one.
you have public health on your plate, so.
But I did sit through that first, tri-county court meeting that was quite interesting.
Mhm.
I thought it was kind of interesting that the paper made it sound like it was a done deal, so. But.
It is
yeah.
not, for the record. I don't
Yes.
know.
And then, yeah, I've been dealing with public health. So
And then your,
it seems odd because I kept thinking we were coming up on the second meeting of the month instead of that gap. But we had that
The 2
extra week,
weeks.
threw me off.
I
It
know.
only happens a couple of times.
I know, but it still threw me off. I was like,
My
And
favorite.
Are we
every
going
time,
to Arlington?
every time Katie and Marin and I see it, we rejoice.
Yes.
Having 1 week when we're not on a hamster wheel.
Gave me a lot
yay.
of time to work on other
And that's when we get all of our best work done, is in those weeks.
And how was Miranda's vacation? I already asked her once, but if she wants to elaborate on her vacation. Yeah.
We made it to Louisiana with one less bag.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it got dropped out on the highway on our way from the hotel to the airport.
Oh, God.
Yeah, he didn't shut the back door of the van, so Harley's bag ended up on the highway.
Oh, no. That's a nice way to start vacation.
We made it though.
So that's me. That's it.
So for me, let me see what we've got going on. I testified. I have not testified in the legislature for a long time, but I testified a couple weeks ago for a bill that would create a pilot project to allow for micro childcare centers. So one of the things we've been running into, even talking about possibly using like the Conan grade school, potentially having like a room in there that somebody could do a childcare, is the state has come back to us and said, unless it was a house, at some point, you can't do family-based care. It would have to be center-based, which creates all of the, licensure requirements that are more stringent. So what this bill is potentially doing is exploring the idea of micro centers, which would basically allow family-based size, so up to 16 kiddos is their max, but to have them be in facilities that are not homes. So they could be in community facilities and not have to meet the center standard for requirements. So I testified on that. There were quite a few people from the South Coast. Senator Anderson is the one who did that. He's from the South Coast area, kind of an unlikely ally, but is very supportive of childcare efforts. So I spent some time with his staff last time I was in Salem and had some really good meetings with them. And I also have been putting plugs in that, hey, if this goes through, Gilliam County, we're happy to be your pilot. Because that may provide some additional opportunities in the county for providers who are saying, I'm willing to provide the care, but I don't necessarily want to do it in my own home. So I'll keep you posted. That one, I think, cleared all of the deadlines, so it's still alive. So my hope is that we actually see that one come through and then maybe have an opportunity to be the pilot and do some investigation here. So that's good. Other thing on childcare is that we have been meeting with the Arlington Child Care Center, continuing to sort of support this transition with their new director taking over. We met with them earlier this week. I walked through the grant process with them for applying for the county's operational funds, and then also some other things that they're running into with their licensure stuff and USDA funds and things like that. So just trying to kind of help them through that process. They have made some changes in terms of their tuition, how they're handling that. They used to do an hourly rate. They've now moved that to a monthly rate, which I think is gonna eliminate some administrative stuff and give them a more consistent income. So they're making some good progress on some of the things that we suggested might be helpful to them. So that is moving along. The childcare, the early learning expansion, meeting with Janine and Jeff pretty much weekly, to kind of figure out what the plans are going to look like and start working with Catherine in the planning side to make sure that we're meeting all of those requirements. But everything is looking good so far. I think I'm still very hopeful the legislature is going to invest in this project. So we'll kind of keep you posted as revenue bill or appropriations bills start coming out in May. So that's going forward. The Liberty Theater. Pat didn't mention this because it was a couple weeks ago, but he was there too. He and I met with the Jeff and the Common Arts Council folks, and then Senator Merkley. Catherine was there as well. Senator Merkley's staff was there, and I think we're moving forward with getting the earmark at least submitted to the committee staff for the Liberty Restoration Theater project. So that is exciting. Let me see what else. Lots of stuff. So
You going to Salem Monday?
I am going to Salem on Sunday, yeah, and then meetings all day on Monday. Let me see, what else? What is this? I'm just looking to see what other meetings I've had here. Not that one.
A reminder that the operational support grant is currently open, and those are due back April 13th for consideration. The capital investment grant is also open, and that is on a rolling basis. So that's just kind of as applications come in. But for those entities who are doing operational support, those are due next Thursday.
Yes.
And I'm meeting with a couple of organizations to kind of go over their applications as they're coming in and answering questions.
Do you know if Dr. Eddie usually applies for those?
Yes, so usually we have, for operational support, we have Arlington Childcare, Arlington Preschool, Common Early Learning Center. We have gotten requests from the Historical Society previously, South Gilliam County Health District, Arlington School District for their college program, Summit Springs, and those are, normally are regulars.
Rodeo didn't, has never applied and not fell into that.
The rodeo, they go
They
under
come in
capital
under
and
special projects is where they usually.
special and capital.
For an event, is what where they come in. This year, I think we're expecting applications from Common Early Learning, Summit Springs we've already received. I'm not sure on the health district. I'm guessing not, I don't know. And then the Arlington Child Care, and then right now the Arlington School District is considering bringing preschool under its fold. Assuming they do, I'm expecting we'll see something from them as well.
Larry wanted to meet with me this week, so I don't know if that's. Sounded like something was on his mind.
Percolating.
I meet with, I'm meeting with, the ESD and Larry tomorrow to go over the grant application.
Yeah, sure, pretty sure that's what it's about.
Yeah. Other things just to note, the Frontier 911 board is going to be meeting next Tuesday at 1 o'clock. That'll be down at the ESD building. Discussions are moving forward regarding the culture and creative districts idea with the Oregon Arts Commission. So I think Steve Allen is going to be going down to Portland and having some discussions with them, kind of helping shape that program. We're still angling to be one of the pilot communities for that.
You're destroying the football game.
The other thing, already mentioned the budget committee. Oh. Other thing I wanted to mention was the nonprofit assistance.
So
stuff that
you
we
back it up a second. What is on your agenda for the 911?
Good
Do you know,
question.
have you seen the agenda yet?
Yes. Let me just bring it up really quick.
On the website.
I don't. It didn't look that like it was a very heavy agreement or a heavy agenda. It looks like we're gonna get an update on the CAD builds. We're talking about moving AP and financials in-house. Currently, they're being done by Wheeler County. So this will, we're talking about moving them over and having Kim do them, Kim Snyder. There's been an ongoing issue with the generator that they're trying to work out down there. Director selection update. I will be doing an update then, but we're actually doing interviews on the 17th, I believe. I will be the board's representative, and then the rest of the interview committee is current directors from some of our neighboring counties. So it's not going to be the board that's doing at least the initial review of everybody
And that's for the director.
for the director position. And then it looks like it's like, you know, stuff like life flight membership. I do not. The question about Jefferson County's membership is not on here. I have no idea if Sherman County plans to raise it with Jefferson County on the call. Don't know how that's gonna look. I'm planning on just observing the dynamic in the room and seeing how that goes, because I have no idea if they're even aware that the Tri-County meeting happened. I have no idea.
Did we get the Times Journal?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm curious to see when I'm at AOC on Monday, if like Commissioner Simmelink is there, somebody else, if he asks for sort of a side conversation, I will report back if he does. But so far I haven't heard anything coming out of
Yeah, because
them at all.
the community perception is that, you know, it was decided and was a done deal from them reading the article. And I was like, no.
It's, I think, far more complicated than a one-off meeting.
Yes.
And,
Oh, man.
yeah, and the implications are much more than we could have gotten into in that preliminary discussion.
I did have a discussion with, Tori, and I asked him about the being put on hold, and he did say that if there's a true emergency, though, you are allowed to go through no matter what. It's not like if your officer is in an emergency and if they're put on hold that they can't get through. So,
And if somebody calls,
Because that was
911,
a-
they pick up the phone.
Yeah,
for sure.
because that was a
Like,
concern of mine. It was like, oh, they just get put on hold, and he assured me that no,
That's not really,
no, if it's a true emergency, then
yeah, I
it's,
think,
it's just the routine stops or stuff like that.
and I think, I mean, this is not uncommon in our regional partnerships where everyone is doing their job and that they want their county to be the priority. And especially in our partnerships when we're the little fish, we have seen in other partnerships that sometimes that means that we don't always get, service doesn't look exactly how we think it should. And sometimes that means the partnership needs to dissolve, but sometimes that just means we need to rework our expectations or work more closely with our partners. And so I think it's still out on which is the, you know, like from Gilliam County's perspective, Gary, I've never had a conversation where Gary indicated that he felt like Gilliam County wasn't being served well by the 911 center. So,
And that's kind of where I got it from.
so I feel like
Tori.
shaking it up, if Sherman County wants to shake it up, then they need to do the research and present a proposal. At least that's kind of how I'm feeling, like that it's not necessarily up to us to lead the charge in something that is by and large working for us. If it's not working for Sherman, then I feel like it's incumbent on them to come up with a solution and not put that back on us to try to solve. Because our folks are, I think, by and large, okay with the service that they're getting. So, yeah. And then obviously there's the complication of what to do with Telenet and all of those kinds of things. So it's a broader sort of conversation that I think our
Well,
colleagues.
I'm not-
acknowledged.
I'm not convinced that if they went to a larger entity, that they won't be in the same boat that we found ourselves in with the North Central Public Health.
Well, I mean, I think the thing is, right, like, if there's an emergency, a true emergency where they are dispatching, where every single dispatcher down there is working on dispatching all personnel into an area, it doesn't matter how big your call center is. If you have a major event,
Is what it is.
that's where the resources go, because that's where the emergency is. So your traffic stop is
Yeah.
gonna naturally be second always,
Yeah.
no matter how big of a center you're in.
Well, yeah, that's no different than when they had that, 84 I stepped down there by Arlington, and I'm sure
Well,
all their attention was on that
the other
area
thing
at that
is
time.
If you're, if you're leaving a center because you don't feel like it's staffed adequately, how are you gonna get to a center that is staffed adequately? I mean, they
Well, it
kind of
sounded like
said
it's-
he thought he could, but
But it sounded like it was a statewide problem
it
It
is.
is.
from what the dispatchers said.
It is, and I get he's moving, if he moves in a bigger one, there's such a small entity going to a bigger one, it's gonna be less impact on the bigger one, but still, staffing is staffing.
Mhm. Well, we continue on the 911 side to struggle because, the feedback is we just need to pay our dispatchers more. But if you look at like Deschutes County as a good example, I mean, they're paying way over what we're paying, and they're at like 50% of the dispatchers that they need. And they're hiring out of the tri-county area between Crook and Jefferson and Deschutes. So there's no way we would ever.
But you also
Compete
gotta
with
look
that,
at the
so-
cost of living in that area.
Exactly.
It's just outrageous.
But to your guys' point, I mean, if Deschutes County is having trouble getting above 50% of their dispatchers, I feel like the fact that we're beyond 50% and we're actually just a couple of dispatchers short is not the crisis that everybody's talking, like people, they ebb and flow, they get into that job. It's not for everybody. Even if you offer a lot of money, it still might not be the right fit. I've sat at the console with a dispatcher who was handling multiple calls and thought, there's no way I could do this job. Like I couldn't, I felt my own anxiety sitting next to a professional doing the job. I was like, I don't think I could do it myself.
Well, and I think the entities, for instance, I can speak for what they have told us as the ambulance service is that, they are short of dispatchers, and you may have to relate to your response, but you can call in and then still proceed, not sitting there, and keep calling them till somebody responds to you, so.
Yeah. Catherine, did you want to note the safe routes to school stuff that's happening? Do you have that information next week?
Gibb is pretty much in charge of that, but I believe ODOT's coming to do safe routes to school, the 13th, right?
Mhm.
And so he's been handling it all. I'm just
I
trying to-
think there's a community walkthrough.
There is, and Gary's involved with it. There's also a survey online, and it's been pushed out multiple times, so if everyone could fill out, especially young parents in the Conica community, make sure you fill it out so they can know where the need is at. And what this is gonna do is, unless we have a safe route to school plan and ODOT has us in their plan, we're more apt to get funding. And also too, if ODOT has a project that comes through and they see a need in the safe routes to school plan, they might pick up the project as they come through. But without that, we're pretty limited on funding for sidewalks.
The survey is really cool. It also includes a map of the city limits, and you can go on and comment and leave little notes about certain intersections or places that you think there could be an improvement to the sidewalks or crosswalks.
Which I took the survey and I got to go to the map because I saw a kid almost hit down by Trimble one day. So I hope someone did that, but I'll go back into.
Yeah.
And you can
think
like other people's comments on there if you agree with
It's a
something.
really
so
cool-
It's really neat.
The biggest problem I see all the time is the kids that cross, coming down from the high school, and they cross that street there below the bus company, and they get to that corner and then they run across the road in the middle of the. Like,
Yikes. And then the only other thing I wanted to note is that we are moving full speed ahead on getting all of our new middle managers trained. So Miranda's working on with CIS on getting an in-person. CIS is actually going to come out and do a training for our folks, and we invited the city so that we could get enough people to make it worth their time. So we are starting that process of getting folks their training, and I think that is it.
I want to add to the, on the supervisors or the training, League of Oregon Cities is also going to come out. We haven't set a time yet to do a board training. So I've already talked to some of the local boards. I've talked to Carrie Shadowitz at North. I've talked to one person at South Health, but I mean, our council will be invited. It's going to go over ethics, conflict of interest, executive session, everything you need to know if you're going to sit on a public board. So I will keep you guys posted too, if you need to let any of your subcommittees know, also know.
Yeah, let me know and I will send out an invitation to all of them directly.
Okay, and
Right.
It's always, even when you've been to them, it's always a good reminder.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else for the good of the order?
Cultural trust grants are due on 14th.
Louder,
What?
louder.
No, cultural trust grants are due on the 14th. This month. And we've only had 2 people apply so far, and we're still offering $1,500.
There's lots of funding available, so please be sure and apply or tell somebody who you know that could be eligible.
And the other thing to note as well is if you know of anybody who might be interested in joining the Gilliam County team, we are still advertising for our finance director position. And then the prevention services assistant is also open. Applications are on the website and job descriptions. So please, especially the prevention services one is a pretty short recruitment timeline. So if you are interested or know of someone that's interested, please apply and get your applications into Miranda.
Are we getting any interest?
Not on the finance director one. We're still waiting for the right person. I think we'll get it. Just, it's a big job. Gotta find the right
Well, it's
person.
pretty good hefty requirements.
Yeah. Anything else for the good of the order? If not, it is 11:27 and I'll adjourn the meeting.